Hi, my name is Jennifer Pless, and these are my colleagues, Dustin Johnston and Tom Wiercinski, and we are going to present our technology forecast for a blood pump bearing system. First, we're going to start with a little bit about the item, and then we're going to move on to an industry analysis and then a company analysis, and then we will make our recommendations, and then we will offer up some other possible uses for the technology. So what would a device that was invented to save human lives have in common with a submarine? Our idea came from the fact that if it was powerful enough that the rotary blood pump could be used as a submarine engine for a small unmanned sub. And this could have applications in a few industries. For the toy industry, we thought it could be a remote control toy for a child. For the hobby industry, we thought it could be more complex and sophisticated and kind of a kit that someone has to build, and then they could put modifications on it. And then we also thought for law enforcement or possibly military, they use the submersibles to search around in ports and the underside of ships and stuff for security purposes. And the ones that they currently use cost about $100,000 or more. So we thought if we could get one of these made for less money, that would be a really big target market to shoot for marketing this thing and selling it. So what are the benefits to NASA? From our recommendation, NASA will be able to leverage their strong name with the strong brand name of a current business, and they will be able to form a business partnership and put out this new product, which will create a good revenue stream for NASA. And also in the future, there will be the possibilities of making related products or complementary products, and which will also bring in revenues for NASA. So in order to follow through on this idea, we had to make some assumptions about the blood pump. The first assumption was that it would be scalable because in its current design, it was to save a human life, and so the materials are like the top of the top. And so we thought, well, we could use less expensive materials to help bring the cost down, which would also make the pump more affordable for the consumers. And another thing that we had to assume on this was that by scaling it down, that it wouldn't lose too much power and it would still be able to be used as a submarine engine. So we had to assume that it was scalable, affordable, and powerful. So a little bit about the structure of the industry. The life cycle stage is in decline, which is a little bit misleading because it's the traditional toys that are in a decline. The Barbies, the Hot Wheels, things like that, dolls. What is taking over in that industry is transitioning toward more electronic toys, like video games and little electronic games. So sales are decreasing overall, but the electronic games part of the industry is actually on the rise. The concentration level is low, which means that there are a lot of manufacturers for the industry, but none of them have a significant share of the market. So there are lots of different manufacturers to choose from when you go to make a product in this industry. The regulation is actually pretty heavy. There are a lot of federal toy safety standards that have to be met in order to satisfy the safety requirements to make toys for children. The barrier to entry is medium, and what that means is that someone who's planning to enter this industry from a fresh start, these would be the hurdles that they would have to overcome. The most significant would be the amount of time, the amount of research, and the amount of money that it would require to establish your own brand name. Also, there's a lot of money involved with developing a unique product to sell, and you have to get the intellectual property rights and the trademarks and things like that to protect it. So there's quite a bit of investment on that. And another part of that is that you're going up against existing players, people that are already in the market, big companies like Hasbro and Mattel, who would probably want to hang on to their share of the market. And so if you tried to enter against them, they're going to fight back by lowering their prices or something like that. So another side to that is that you're going to have to spend a lot of money on advertising to get your product noticed next to theirs. The competition level of the industry is high, and that's just because there are so many manufacturers. They're trying to hang on to their share of the market and trying to increase their share of the market. So they're doing whatever they can to make that happen. So where would this product fit into the industry? Well, as you can see, the electronic toys are the largest segment of this industry, and they took in almost 33% of the revenues over the last year. And kids, over the past 5 years, what's trending is that kids at younger and younger ages are moving towards cell phones and tablets and laptops and video games and things like that. So the traditional toys is shrinking, but the electronics are really picking up. And the other segment that we were going to try to fit this into would be models and crafts, which took almost 14% of the revenues for the industry. And they both took kind of a big hit when the recession hit, because it's disposable income, and so people just don't spend as much on this kind of stuff. But as the economy is expected to improve over the next 5 years, both of these segments are expected to improve with it. So let's hear from Tom.
All right. Thanks, Jen. Everyone in the audience probably remembers being a kid and going to the toy store. They are making a mental list of what they want for their birthday or Christmas. When you walk through a toy store, something kids are always looking for are toys that mimic things that they see their parents doing. And while children seeing their parents driving their own cars, an option the kids have is a remote control car. Now, imagine the freedom of having a car that they can drive anywhere. Now, our product, a submarine or boat, restricts children less than toys they see their friends playing with, because it can zip across the water or under the water. Now, after you have been able to get the freedom of driving your own vehicle, the next thing children and young adults want to do is build their own boat or submarine. Now, for the serious hobbyists, a remote control submarine that has a camera affixed to it can be used to photograph fish or to look for danger before you go scuba diving. Or on larger submersibles, can be used to look at shipwrecks. Law enforcement can use this technology to look for illegal fishing traps or underwater explosives that could pose a danger to shipping. Also for drug traffickers that are attempting to smuggle illegal drugs into the country. You may have seen things like this on the History and Discovery Channel to examine shipwrecks. So during the course of our research, we noticed that in an industry that was once dominated by mom and pop stores featuring homemade products, two companies are at the forefront and are dominating this industry. These two companies, Mattel and Hasbro, are so large that together they control more than 50% of the US market. So IBIS World identifies over 250 key success factors for a business. During the course of our competitive analysis, we narrowed this list to success factors to a list of 5 that pertain to this market, and more specifically, the two companies, Mattel and Hasbro, that we focused on for our analysis. The first success factor in the establishment of brand names. Brand name, reputation, and positive image help operators remain competitive and win supply contracts. These companies have very strong brand names such as Hot Wheels, Tyco, Barbie, American Girl, and Monster High. Now, imagine adding NASA's brand name to that list. This brand name will be given a completely new generation of kids the idea and the possibility of going to the moon or to go to Mars. The second success factor is having a diverse range of clients. Having a diverse range of clients reduces the risk and the potential financial impacts from an important client leaving. These companies have many clients that help to diversify the risk of the product sales. An example of these clients would be Walmart, Target, and Toys R Us. Strong links with suppliers may help in negotiating competitive supplier terms, such as price, payment, and delivery terms. There are already many suppliers and manufacturers being used by these companies. These suppliers are located in US, China, Mexico, Thailand, and just to name a few of them. These companies can quickly adapt to a new technology. The companies have research and development departments, then are able to farm some of the manufacturing. A patented technology can be important when competing with imported products. By using a patented technology, it can slow competing companies from entering into the market. Now, imagine a patent that was patented by NASA. A company that can say that we build products of such a high quality that we can get you to the moon. Any company that tries to compete with products of this quality will be at a distinct disadvantage. Toy and game manufacturers are bound by legislation that requires products to meet safety standards. Operators need to ensure that the manufactured products meet design and legislative specifications. Mattel and Hasbro, like NASA, have some of the highest standards in the industry. In analyzing the finances of the two companies, we can see the financial health advantages that Mattel has over Hasbro. Mattel's revenue is 50% higher than Hasbro, as you can see by the slide, $6.4 billion versus $4.1 billion. Mattel's net income is twice as much as Hasbro. The total assets of Mattel are 50% higher than Hasbro. Having revenues 50% higher and assets 50% higher and a net income twice as high as Mattel's, total liabilities are only 25% higher than Hasbro, a fact that cannot be overlooked. Mattel's market cap is 300% higher than Hasbro. With a competitive analysis, we believe Mattel has many advantages over Hasbro in every category and will provide a much better fit for a high-quality company like NASA that already has a good brand name to offer within the pairing. Based on the aspects, we believe that an alliance should be set up with Mattel. Some of the main deciding factors for this decision are that Mattel has a major portion of the revenue, market share, and a larger net income. Mattel already has a very strong established brand in the market, in the radio control market. Mattel currently has radio control products on the market such as Hot Wheels, Tyco remote control cars, and of course, the Barbie RC car. Mattel currently has license agreements with other third parties that permit Mattel to utilize the trademark characters or inventions of the licensor in products that Mattel sells. A number of these licenses relate to product lines that are significant to Mattel's business and operations. Some of the companies Mattel has entered into these agreements are Disney Enterprises, Viacom International, and Warner Brothers.
Thank you, Tom.
Next, I'd like to pass it over to Dustin.
Thank you, Tom. During the course of our analysis of this business, we discovered two things. We decided that the two most important things for our recommendations were going to rely on NASA maintaining quality and the control of their quality, and second, that the barriers to entry to the market were too high for NASA to rely on their own power to get into the market, and that it would be best to either strategically ally themselves with a company or do a joint venture. Both of these have the advantage that NASA maintains its part of the project while allowing the Hasbro or Mattel to do what they do best, the manufacturing. One of the downsides to a joint venture, however, is that the profits are pooled. The profits that are made from the sale of NASA's submarine would go to both either equally or, depending on how the agreement was struck, either equally or in a distributive fashion to either NASA or Mattel. Our other idea was a strategic alliance. Now, a strategic alliance is a little less restrictive than a joint venture. What a strategic alliance does is it allows two companies to work together for a short period of time on one product or one idea. With the use of these two things, we think that NASA can control the quality of its products because, as my colleague Tom said, quality is one of the things NASA is known for. I mean, it put a man on the moon and it put a rover on Mars. And we don't feel that NASA should have to worry about its quality when looking at companies and perhaps selling its patent to the companies. That is why we focused on these two recommendations. During our research, we came across a lot of ideas, a plethora of ideas that this product could be used in. While we did decide eventually to go with the model car industry and the model boat industry, some of our first ideas were oil and gas, water, the beer and wine industry, and the heating industry. In the oil and gas industry, pumps are used everywhere. They're used to pump oil out of the ground, they're used to pump oil out of houses, they're used to pump oil within the facilities. And we felt that this motor, using the impeller blade system, could be used in just about any of these. Some of the, like I said earlier, some of the other uses are water pumps and pool pumps, both of which are very popular with people at home that will either use water or pool pumps. One of the big things we found early in our research was a heating mechanism for either cars, sidewalks, car seats, scuba diving equipment, or just clothing in general. Now, the way these would work that we felt would be a system of pipes or a system of tubes would be put through the product to pump hot water, and our product would be used to maintain a constant, steady flow of this heated liquid through whatever device they decided to put inside. A great example is car seats. Now, think about when you're driving along in your car and it's the middle of winter. Inside your car, your entire car might be toasty because you can remotely start your car before you even get in it. Now, while your whole car might be warm, one of the things a lot of people notice and complain about is cold seats. And our way of solving this, as I mentioned earlier, is a series of tubes that run through the seats that our pump constantly keeps moving so that no matter where you are in your car, no matter what you're doing, these pumps keep you warm. Now for our conclusion. As Jen mentioned very early in our presentation, our product is an impeller-based motor system, and we chose to put this inside of a submarine. The reason we felt for doing this was several times over, whether it be because some companies don't have quite the quality standards that we felt NASA should be concentrating on, or the markets are too small, or as the one we chose, the barriers to entry are very high and there's no real person that NASA can partner with that'll help alleviate these barriers. We continued on with some of the assumptions we had to make this idea actually work. While it would have worked without these assumptions, we felt that without the quality input of an engineer, that reducing the cost of a product is one of the highest things that we needed to focus on. And reducing the cost and still having the ability for the pump to function was probably the highest assumption we had to make. We continued by going through manufacturing. Manufacturing, while NASA controls the quality, the manufacturing is one of the things we thought NASA would have the hardest time with. With a company like Hasbro and Mattel, a partnership of that type, we felt that manufacturing would be absolutely no problem because both of these companies have high quality standards, and we felt that fit in perfectly with the way NASA has always been known to use the highest quality materials to make the highest quality products throughout their history. And finally, we ended with our recommendations. And these recommendations, while there are other ways NASA could use these, we felt that in a strategic business environment, these are some of the best ways to use them. As Tom mentioned, some of these things come down to the barriers of entry into the market. These could involve things like the maintaining high quality standards, as we've mentioned several times, is one of the main parts of our presentation. And finally, I would like to thank you for your time and your consideration of our product and our ideas. And I know Tom and Jen would like to thank you as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.